So I don't know. When it comes to makeup, in my very uneducated opinion, I kind of think it's all about just whatever you like. Do what you like. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video in my full month of your video ideas. If you are new here and are not familiar with what I've been doing throughout the month of April, I have been doing just that. This month has been devoted completely to your video ideas and suggestions. I have a little notebook here that I keep that I write down any really good ideas that you guys give me, and I have compiled quite the list in here, and I wanted to devote this entire month to your ideas and suggestions because honestly, most of my best videos come from not my own ideas, but yours. And today's video is going to be all about warm tone looks and cool tone looks. This video idea actually came from two different subscribers. First off, Ellen suggested that I do a cool tone makeup look, and then I had another suggestion from Elena, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but she suggested that I do a video on makeup tones and what goes together. So I thought a good way to tackle both of these ideas at once was to show you guys a warm tone look and a cool tone look, and talk about how I go about picking out all of my colored makeup products. So we're talking eyeshadow, blush, and lip color. I do want to throw in just a couple of disclaimers before we get into the video. I am by no means a professional makeup artist. These are simply tips that I find to work well for me, but everyone is different. We all have different skin tones, we have different eye colors, we have different hair colors, and on top of that we have different preferences. So what might work for me may not work for you, and I think because of all of those variables, there is a little bit of trial and error involved in figuring out what is going to work for you. I will link a couple of videos down below if you are someone that's really wanting to delve deep into this topic of not just like tones of makeup, but also just undertones and color theory. I will link down below some videos from some actual practicing makeup artists that have more experience than I do. Now before we jump into the video, a special welcome to any of you that are new to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you will consider subscribing. And with that said, let's get into the makeup look. Alright guys, so we're going to kick things off with the eyes, and we're going to do the cool tone look first. And for the cool tone look, I picked out the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. There are certainly a lot of other palettes you could use to create a cool tone look. Some other favorites of mine are the Milani Soft and Sultry palette, the Huda Beauty Smoky Obsessions palette, even the Tarte and Bloom palette has some cool tones in there. So because we are doing a cool tone look, I want to try and keep even the transition shade a little bit on the cool side. You definitely, even with a cool tone look, in my opinion, can do something a little bit more warm in the transition. Like I would often use this color right here, the color Birch, in my transition area, even if I'm doing something very cool toned and kind of silvery. I personally like that and think that works. But for today, we're going to keep it very cool and go in with this color right here. This is the color Twig, which is much more of a cool tone brown. Let me just swatch these two for you guys. So here is the color Birch, this is the color Twig. So I'm just taking that color Twig on my Morphe M504 brush, and we're just going to buff that through my crease. So for today's looks, both warm and cool, these are going to be relatively neutral looks. I'm not going to be using any color, but I will kind of explain to you guys the way that you could do something similar using a cooler toned color rather than a cooler toned brown. If I'm doing a cooler tone, more colorful eye look, like something that's a little bit more on the blue side, generally speaking, I still like to start out with a transition shade, and it's something that I usually like it to be neutral or a little bit more cool. And I think when it comes to your eyes especially, I don't personally think there are really any hard and fast rules on what you can and cannot combine together. I sometimes like a pop of orange coming out of the crease, or a pop of like a warm peachy color, even with a cooler toned eye. I think it's just one of those things that you really have to just play around with and see what you like. Pause, I forgot I wanted to zoom you guys in just a little bit. Now I'm going to take my Refer number 2 brush, and we're going to take that same color Twig, and I'm going to pop that on my lower lash line. Now we want to go into this matte gray right here, the color Slate, and we're going to add just a tiny bit of this right through the crease, just to add a little bit more depth right here and make it even just a little bit more cool. Now I'm going to jump over to this color right here. This is kind of a cooler tone bronze. This is the color Ember, and we're going to pop that on the outer half of the lid. And then with a clean finger, I like to take that just along that edge, just to kind of smudge that out so we don't have a harsh line right there as we blend another shade on top of it. Now I want to go into the color Cyborg, which is the silver inside here. You definitely could use like the color Pearl right here if you want to do something that's not quite as silver in tone. It will still be very cool toned because of these cool colors that we have on the outer corner. But today I want to use the color Cyborg, and I'm going to use it on a brush. This is the Rephr number 2 brush, and I'm just going to run that right through that inner half of the lid and slightly overlap where that other shade ended. Now I'm going to grab that M507 brush that we used with that gray shade. I didn't add anything else to it, I just want to use this to kind of blend out this edge. Now I want to dip into the color Pearl right here, and I'm using the Rephr number 3 brush. We're going to add just a tiny bit of this right to my tear duct area. Okay, I do want to add just a little bit more depth to my lower lash line, so I'm going to go back into that matte gray, and on the Rephr number 2 brush we're going to take that matte gray very lightly under my lower lash line. And I want to keep this concentrated right to this outer third of my lash line. Okay, now I think I want a little bit more punch on my lid, so I'm actually going to take the color Cyborg on my finger. I generally apply ABH shimmers with my finger because I just think they have so much more intensity, and I do like a little bit of intensity with my shimmer. So we're just going to pop a little bit of this right on that inner half of the lid. If you like it to be a little bit more subtle, you can definitely just skip this part and apply it with a brush, and it won't be quite as vibrant and dramatic and intense. So before I zoom you guys back and we finish off with the cheeks and the lips, I do want to add a little bit of mascara, and I'm also going to add a little bit of my brown Wet n Wild liner. Then I will zoom you guys out and we will finish off with the lips and the cheeks. Alright guys, so here's the finished cool toned eye look. Now I want to walk you guys through how I typically pick out my cheek color and my lip color. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, and I'm sure you may have already figured it out. I do have the rest of my makeup done. I have foundation, concealer, bronzer, and highlighter on. For today, for my highlighter, I did use the Essence Pure Nude highlighter, which to me is a very neutral highlighter. It's not very warm or very cold, so it goes with either look. And highlighter I'm not too particular about, as long as it's a highlighter that I like, that works well on my skin tone. I don't really think much about my highlighter, generally speaking. But for my blush, I do typically like to go with something that's a little bit more cool and pink when I'm doing a cool tone look. That is not an absolute necessity, however, especially if you are doing something warm in your crease. I think it is okay to add something warmer on the cheeks, and even something a little bit more neutral to warm on the lips. I don't think there's necessarily any hard and fast rules, but generally speaking, if you want a kind of foolproof way to do it, I think if you're doing a cool toned eye, go either neutral on the cheeks and lips or lean a little bit on the cool side. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple of cool toned blush options. First off is my coolest blush in my collection. This is from Etude House. This is their Lovely Cookie Blush in the color Strawberry Shortcake? No, Strawberry Choux. Almost got there, Mandy. Good try. As you can see, it is a very bubblegum cool toned pink. There's a lot of blue in this pink. Perhaps next in line to that one would be this one from Maybelline. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Blush in the color pink. It is a little bit less cool. It doesn't have quite so much of a blue undertone, but it is still a cool tone pink. Another one of my favorites to pair with a cooler toned eye look is this one right here. This is from Collab Beauty. I bought this at Sally's Beauty Supply last year. This is in the color Just for Fun. I do not know if they still make these blushes. I know Collab Beauty, their things are kind of hard to find. If I can find it, I will link it down below. This is probably one of my most reached for cooler tone blushes when I'm doing an overall cool toned look. I love this blush. It's one of my absolute favorites. But I do want to share with you guys a couple of neutral blushes. Neutral blushes are easy because they go with either warm or cool tone looks. Some of my favorite neutral blushes are this one right here, which I would actually say this one leans a little bit on the cool side. This is from Milani, the color Tea Rose. Another one of my favorite neutral blushes is Melba from MAC. And then a neutral blush that is a little bit newer to my collection is the color Carmel from Persona. But for today, for this look, let's go full on cool tone and dip into the Lovely Cookie Blusher in Strawberry Choux. I'm just taking a little bit of this on my Real Techniques blush brush, and I'm just going to apply that to the apples of my cheeks. And I like to keep it a little bit higher on the apples. Alright, so there is the cool tone blush. Now let's move into lips. Now as far as lip color goes, we're keeping things pretty neutral today. I'm not really talking about bold lip colors. That will have to be a different video altogether, although again, I'm not sure I'm the one to do that video. But if you are not sure, I would recommend sticking with something that is neutral, and that means something that has a little bit of peach, a little bit of pink inside of it. On the warm side, we have our lip colors that have a lot of brown or a lot of orange or a lot of peach in them. On the cool side, we have our lip colors that have a lot of cool and blue toned pink or purple or mauve to them. But then there are those neutral lip colors that have a little bit of everything in them. So I wanted to show you guys a couple of lipsticks that for me, I find to be really good kind of middle of the pack lipsticks. These are ones that go really well with any, regardless of what color I'm putting on my cheeks. These are kind of my fail-safe colors, the ones that I don't have to think about. I know that they are going to work. First off, and probably one of my most favorite, is the color Honeycomb from Bite Beauty. I know that this color has been discontinued, which is so tragic to me, but this is the kind of color that I'm talking about. Hopefully you can see from this swatch, I do see a little bit of warm, kind of peachy brown in this, but I also see some cooler pink or even gray to this, but it's not gray. It's by no means gray, but it has a little bit of warmth and a little bit of cool in it. This is one of my favorite neutral lip colors. Another one that I really love, and this one has just a tiny bit more, I would say a little bit more warmth to it. This is the color Nude Embrace by Maybelline. Hopefully you can see right there, this one does lean a little bit more warm, but I would still say this has some pink in it, has some neutral in it. It's not overly warm or brown. I do want to show you guys a lip color that's quite warm tone, just so you can kind of see a comparison. This is from ColourPop. This is the color Appy, and it is a true warm peachy color. This one I would consider much more on that warm side of the spectrum than on the cool side, whereas these ones are definitely more neutral. And then last I want to show you guys a cooler tone pink, and this is probably the one that we're going to go with today. This is the color Romantic Rose from Maybelline, and this one does have quite a bit of that cooler, more blue toned pink in it. So hopefully seeing these swatches side by side, this will kind of give you guys a visual of what I'm talking about when it comes to cool, neutral, and warmer toned. So today I do want to do a cool tone lip. We're going to use that Romantic Rose color from Maybelline. And I'm going to start off by going in with a lip liner. This is Oh Snap from ColourPop. Probably of all my lip liners, this is my most cool tone lip liner. Let me just swatch it for you guys right here. And now I'm going to add a little bit of Romantic Rose. And just for effect, I want to add just a tiny bit of this gloss right here, just to the center. This is the Oh Friend Samantha March gloss. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of this on my finger. It's just a very, very refined, glittery, pearlescent white, shiny, beautiful lip gloss. And with that, that is the completed cool tone look. Cool eye, cool cheek, cool lip. Again, you guys, there is no hard and fast rule. Play around with this, see what works best for you, and when in doubt, go with neutrals, because 9 times out of 10 they will work. Let me know what you guys thought of this one. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off, and then I will be back to create our warm tone look. Alright you guys, so I zoomed you in just a little bit and we're going to go into the warm toned eye look. Now for today's eye look, we are going to be using the BH Cosmetics Desert Oasis palette. You can definitely use what you have. There are a lot of options out there for warm tone palettes. Some of my favorites are the Soft Glam palette by ABH, the Double Entendre palette by ColourPop. Also, the Kathleen Lights Dream Street palette has a lot of good warm toned options in it. The Nubian 2 palette by Juvia's Place is a good one. Honestly, the options out there I think are somewhat endless, but we're going to go in with this one today. With a warm tone eye look, I always like to start off with something very warm in my crease. So today we're going to dip into this lighter brown right here. And with my Morphe M504 brush, I'm just going to run this right through and slightly above my crease or my socket. If you really love more warm toned colors, you can do the same thing with an orange. I do love popping an orange in my crease, so you could actually use even this color right here or something similar. I'm just taking a little bit more and I'm just dusting that all through the outer corner right here. And then I'm lightly going to run that underneath. I'm just using the same brush. I kind of want this look to be even more diffused than the last one. Now I'm going to dip into something just a little bit darker. I'm going to go into this darker brown right here. It's still a very warm brown, but I'm kind of slowly going to build up some gradient in my crease. I'm taking this on the rougher #1 brush and I just want to run this right through my socket line. Kind of concentrating this color a little bit more just in my socket line and also right in this outer corner here, but not blowing it out quite as far. And then with just a little bit more on that brush, I'm just going to run that right on the outer half of my lower lash line. Now I want to pop something shimmery on the eyelid, and I want to go with one of these warmer shimmers right here over on the highlight side. I think I'm going to take this darkest of the highlights right here, which is just a very good kind of classic warm golden bronze. And I'm just taking that with my finger and just applying it all over the lid. This part's optional, but I'm going to take a little bit of this same shimmer. I'm going to run this right under the lower lash line, just right in the center of my lash line. This does emphasize some texture under here, so you want to keep it really close to your eyelashes, or omit this step altogether if you're really sensitive to that. It really doesn't bother me that much. I'm not trying to hide anything. I know that my under eyes are wrinkled and I still don't really care. I want to wear shimmer down there. Now I'm going to take my Rephr number 2 brush, which is just this kind of flat smudger brush, and I'm going to dip it into this dark matte brown right here. And I'm going to take that color, we're just going to start deepening out this lash line right here. I like to start on the upper lash line and kind of slightly pull it upwards towards the outer corner and then kind of feather it in, and then I like to go kind of below the outer, very outer, like 1/8 of my lower lash line. I just want to deepen out this very outermost corner right here. Just kind of give it some shape. Alright, so that is just about it. I do want to add just a little bit to the inner corner. I'm going to take this very champagne tone shimmer, and on my Rephr number 3 brush, we're going to add a little bit of this just to the inner corner here. And today I'm just going to add a little bit of liner to my upper waterline, and then I'm going to add some mascara, and then we will zoom out and be right back with our cheeks and lips. Alright guys, so here is our finished warm toned eye look. So let's finish off with the rest of the face, and I'll show you guys kind of some things I like to consider when I'm picking out cheek color and lip color for a warmer toned look. So again, when it comes to that spectrum of warm to cool tone, I like to, generally speaking, stick in the neutral to warmer side of things, just to make sure things are a little bit more monochromatic. So I want to show you guys a couple of my very warm options. First off, this one right here, this is from Newsticks. This is the color Sunkissed. So this is technically one of their kind of bronzer and blushes, but I actually use this more of a blush. It does have quite a bit of kind of a terracotta red to it, but as you can see, it is very, very warm. It does have some brown. This is one of my go-tos when it comes to a very warm eye look. I love using this one. Another one that I really love is the Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blush in the color Blur Buff. I will try and swatch this one for you guys. Generally speaking, blush swatches don't always swatch very well, but as you can see, it is quite warm. Another warm blush that I really love is the Persona blush in the color Georgia. This one, as you can see, is a very kind of peachy pink. I would say this one does lean a little bit more neutral because it does have some pink in it, but I would still consider this a warmer blush. Another warm blush that I really love from the drugstore is the Satin Coral blush from Essence. One more classic warm blush is Luminoso from Milani. Let me try and swatch this for you guys. This one, again, I don't know if it's going to show up. Not really, but it does have quite a bit of warmth in it. So those are the options for a warmer tone blush. I think for today, I want to go with the Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blush in the color Blur Buff. But I want to emphasize one more time, if you are not sure if you like a warm tone blush on you, you can always go with a neutral. But for today's look, we're going to try and stick with all warm tones. So this is Blur Buff from Bare Minerals. One of my favorites. It's been a few weeks. I forgot how much I love this thing. Alright, so there's our warm blush. Now let's jump into lip color. So lip color I think can be a little bit more tricky. I have kind of discovered that I'm not sure that I love the way that I look in very, very warm lipsticks. So I thought we could do a little bit of demonstration here. I'm going to show you guys on my lips what a warm lipstick would look like, and then what the cool lipstick would look like with this eye look, and then what a neutral lipstick would look like. So let's start off with the warm color. This is the color Appy from ColourPop. This is a really pretty lipstick. I just don't know that I love a very warm lipstick on me. I feel like my lip color needs a little bit of pink in it. I don't think it looks terrible. I definitely think it coordinates with this eye makeup look, but I think I prefer something that has a little bit more of a neutral undertone to it. I also wanted to show you guys what the cool tone lipstick that we tried on with the last look looks like with this look, just to kind of see if it will work. Okay, so I do think that definitely clashes with this look. It just doesn't quite go. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of this color with this look. So now that my lips are nice and torn apart, let's go in with a neutral lipstick. So I'm going to go in with the Bite Beauty Honeycomb lipstick. Alright, so this one is just right. I do feel like this lipstick does have a little bit more of a gray undertone than I like sometimes though. Something you can do to remedy the situation is add just a little bit of a pink gloss on top. This is the color Pink by Persona. There we go. I feel like this lip color is just right. Alright guys, so here is the completed warm toned makeup look, and that is it for my warm versus cool tone video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that it was helpful for you guys seeing me create or attempt to create a cohesive warm tone and cool tone makeup look. Again, you guys, I am no expert. There's definitely a lot of trial and error when it comes to this. Sometimes I don't get it right all the time either. These are just some of the tips that I generally try to stick to create cohesive looks. But even with these tips, there's a lot of trial and error involved. So I will just say that to you guys. Definitely don't be afraid to try different things. things, try different combinations, and see what works for you. Of course, if you guys have any tips, be sure to leave those down below because I am just one person. This is just what works for me. But that is it for today. Thank you all so much for stopping by. I hope that you guys are doing well. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that before you leave. And that is all I have for you guys today. I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye. I should probably be swatching these for you like a good YouTuber. Blush swatches are so hard though, because half the time they don't show up. Alright, now I'm going to add the color. No, that's the wrong one, Mandy. I feel like I maybe need more bronzer. I did take a nap before this video. I did fall asleep putting Charlie down for a nap today, so my makeup probably needs to be touched up a little bit. Look at this hair! It's Cyndi Lauper!
I'm not Cyndi Lauper.
Who gave you this?
Erica.
Erica! Say thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica.
He's flying. Alright, so I went pretty ham with that color. Pretty ham. Mandy, you never say that word. I don't think I've ever used the phrase pretty ham. Ever. Something if we're talking about nude blushes, which is... No, we're talking about lipstick, Mandy.